family YouTuber to killer police found his horrifying secrets. Known as Mr. Anime, Trey Eric Sessler was a well-known YouTuber who stunned the world in 2012 by killing his family and disclosing terrifying intentions for a mass shooting at a school. Horrible secrets were hidden behind his seemingly innocuous online presence, which came to light following the horrific events. In this video, we will go through 7 key points about this case. Number 7. Trey Eric Sessler's background. Trey, born in Waller, Texas, in 1989, Eric Sessler grew up with his parents and older brother, Mark, in a typical suburban setting. He had a strong interest in storytelling and artistic expression from an early age, which eventually brought him into contact with anime, a genre that enthralled him with its complex plots and lively characters. Trey started immersing himself in anime culture as a youngster, which gave him a way to escape the stresses of everyday life. He started a YouTube channel called Mr. Anime, where he offered his opinions on different anime shows and movies. Number 6. The murders. Trey Sessler carried out a horrifying scheme on March 20, 2012, which led to the heinous killings of his brother Mark, father Lawton, and mother Rhonda. The attack was well planned. Trey had been thinking about how to do these things covertly for weeks. He started by using a gun he had purchased just for this reason to ambush his mother as she was coming home from shopping and shoot her several times in the garage. Without hesitation, Trey turned the rifle on Lawton and Mark as they hurried to check the noise. He shot each victim several times at close range, according to the crime scene, demonstrating a total lack of regret or empathy. Trey spent hours roaming through the chambers where his family members were buried after carrying out these crimes. In an unsettling indication of his internal conflict and mental instability, he allegedly scribbled notes on the walls expressing regret for what he had done. Number 5. Motivation for the killings. Trey had complicated reasons for killing his family, all of which stemmed from his troubled mental state. He said in interviews after his arrest that he felt killing his family was a compassionate gesture, since he did not want them to suffer or feel guilty about his plans for widespread violence at Waller High School. Trey believed that by killing them first, he was shielding them from the consequences of his planned school massacre, which was the perverted justification for his actions. Trey may have justified murder as a defensive tactic, but this hallucination also revealed a severe detachment from reality, highlighting the depth of his psychological problems. But after committing the killings, Trey felt a great deal of guilt and uncertainty about his actions. In a startling revelation that shows how torn he was between his violent intents and the terrible reality of murdering people, he soon abandoned his plan for a school massacre because it became too real for him. Number 4. YouTube activity. Trey's Mr. Anime YouTube channel functioned as a mask for his increasingly sinister views, as well as a vehicle for his artistic expression. Trey's content, which at first concentrated on reviews of anime and humor skits, started to change toward themes of death and violence as he grew increasingly interested in darker anime culture and real-life stories. His videos frequently contained skits that included gunplay or other exaggerated kinds of violence, as well as talks about violent anime shows. In retrospect, some viewers pointed out that rather than being purely for entertainment purposes, these modifications might have been a sign of Trey's worsening mental health, a reflection of his increasing fixation with violent topics. A month prior to the killings, Trey uploaded a video taking a hiatus from YouTube due to personal concerns, which now seems concerning in light of the events that followed. Most followers were unaware of this declaration at the time, but it was a pivotal moment when Trey's inner turmoil turned into disastrous deeds. Number 3. Criminal history and disturbing behavior. Before the killings, Trey had no official criminal history, but there were several red flags of suspicious behavior that pointed to the possibility of violence. Later, investigators discovered that Trey had engaged in animal abuse when he was a teenager, shooting small animals for fun with no apparent regret or remorse. Those who knew him should have been alarmed by his actions, which are frequently seen as a sign of more severe violent crimes against people. Furthermore, acquaintances reported instances in which Trey shot firearms close to schools or other public areas with no repercussions. This careless conduct revealed not only a lack of concern for safety, but also a concerning normalization of violence in his life. Many people who knew Trey expressed discomfort about his preoccupation with guns and violent media as he grew more reclusive in social situations with both family members and peers. However, few were aware of the severity of his problems or saw them as warning signs until it was too late. Number 2. Inspiration from other killers. Trey was greatly impacted by real-life mass murderers whose acts horrified him, so his fascination with violence was not just confined to fictional stories. Investigators found that Trey had devoted a significant amount of time to studying high-profile mass violence events across America, including the Columbine High School tragedy. He held these criminals in high regard and saw their deeds as potent protests against society, a mistaken notion that their fame allowed them to take charge of their own fates by committing acts of terror. On his computer, law officials uncovered comprehensive notes grading serial killers based on their achievement, a terrifying reminder of how deeply invested Trey had gotten in murderous ideas. This obsession fueled Trey's own plans for violence, rather than viewing these acts as tragic failures or societal issues requiring intervention. He saw them as blueprints for achieving infamy through destruction. Number 1. Aftermath and arrest. Following concerns expressed by family members who were unable to get in touch with Rhonda or her family members during the day, authorities were notified of suspicious activity at the Sessler residence, and the consequences of Trey's activities quickly became apparent. When police arrived on March 20th for a welfare check, they found a horrific scene. Rhonda's body was found dead in the garage, and Lawton's and Mark's bodies were inside. The victims had been shot several times at close range, leaving them unable to protect themselves from their son's attack. Evidence of Trey's involvement was found at the crime scene. Investigators discovered messages of regret written on walls at Waller High School, along with other unsettling writings that alluded to plans for additional violence against strangers. This story highlights the significance of awareness and intervention before disaster hits by serving as a chilling reminder of how untreated or overlooked mental health concerns can materialize into destructive behaviors. If you liked our video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel.